Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Nicole, Russo. Welcome to Spa Babies for Sunday, September the 3rd. Grade 1 stakes action. It's the Spinaway. 2-year-old fillies going 7/8 of a mile, and we have a really promising cast. Let's take a look at this group. Some super impressive winners earlier in this meet, including the 8. Ways and Means, your 7-5 morning line favorite. She won in a gallop in her career debut for Chad Brown, and the fact that she's 7-5 over a legitimate graded stakes winner like Brightwork, that says something.
It's a legitimate field because the Spinaway, the last of the 3 graded stakes for dirt fillies here at Saratoga, following the Schuylerville and the Adirondack. You've got the winners of both of those in here. Both are graded stakes experienced fillies, and for Ways and Means to be favored over the 2 of them. But I mean, we'll watch her impressive debut in a minute, and it's one of the most talked about performances this summer at Saratoga. So really no surprise, but it's definitely noteworthy.
Several fleet 2-year-old fillies in this race. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector. Not that surprising that we have a red bar indicating a fast pace after the opening quarter mile. The 3 Sugar High was a pace-pressing debut winner for Bill Mott. The 10 Lemorian comes in from out of town where she showed a lot of speed. And Dwayne Lucas's Lady Moscato has sneaky speed. I think she's going to be really hustled out of there.
Yeah, a very consistent filly who kind of just needs to get over the edge a little bit. And even though some of the speed is outside there with Lemorian, they've got a good long run down the backstretch out of the chute in the 7 furlong race. So I'm not too worried about her working out a trip, getting hung wide or anything like that.
The filly with the fastest Timeform US late pace rating is the 1 Ms. Sense. We're going to take a look at her career debut. It was a race washed off the turf going a demanding mile out of the chute, and Ms. Sense was able to really get a nice little trip in here and sneak on through and draws away to win as much the best. I'm not sure who she beat in this race, but I think it's noteworthy that Todd Pletcher had her entered in the P.G. Johnson and off-turf race earlier this week. She acted up in the post parade, and well, she's right back in against grade 1 competition.
Yeah, scratched from the off the turf PG Johnson on Wednesday when she unseated her rider during that warm up and ran off. And you noted that demanding mile, sort of a 1.5 turn distance out of the chute at Saratoga. I like that she's gone that mile and is cutting back to 7 furlongs, in contrast to most of the rest of this field, who's been gradually stepping it up in distance.
Quality pedigree, a $500,000 yearling by Street Sense out of a full sister to 2-year-old champion Shanghai Bobby. Here's the 2, Lady Moscato, in her 3rd lifetime start. She's still a maiden, but she ran pretty well in this race. She pushed a fast pace going 3/4 of a mile. She's got the lead here in the stretch, and she just fails to stay the trip. But she ran second at a decent price, and you get the feeling she's still learning with every start.
Absolutely. And when she shows speed when she's headed in the lane or she's under pressure, she gives it grudgingly. She keeps on well. She's been second in all 3 of her starts for Wayne Lucas, who's got a really good group of 2-year-olds this year and who, of course, is never afraid to run his horses in big spots. And I like that she's getting Johnny Velasquez aboard.
She's an $800,000 daughter of Quality Road and a full sister to Salty, who I believe won the La Troyenne at Churchill Downs.
Mhm.
Here's the 3, Sugar High, making a likable debut for trainer Bill Mott, and Junior Alvarado pushed the pace early in this race and keeps on going in a very professional manner, and she earned a respectable buyer speed figure as well. And 80, she took a lot of money for a Mott-trained first-time starter in this race, Nicole, so I guess the word was out.
Yeah, and that race looks like it's coming back. While the 6 horses that she beat that day have all run back. One of them, Honey Dijon, won an off the turf maiden. 2 of the others who ran back finished second in their next starts, including Lady Moscato. That said, Sugar High's one of just 2 in this field who does not yet have a race at 6 furlongs or longer. Her debut and only start came at 5.5 furlongs.
She's a $180,000 daughter of Twirling Candy from the family of 2-year-old filly champion Dreaming of Anna. The 4 is Closing Act. She's already a stakes winner. She won the Astoria at Belmont 2 starts back for trainer Steve Asmussen. And going into the Grade 3 Schuylerville opening weekend at Saratoga. The question was, could she run a little bit faster? Because the Astoria buyer was light. She did run faster, but just a little bit. A Texas bred by Munnings, you get top connections, you get some experience, and she's gradually stretching out.
Yeah, and you mentioned she won her first two, including the Astoria, and I like that for being precocious. She's not speed crazy. I think she's a pretty professional young horse. She's been gradually stretching out, as you mentioned, and rather than running back here at the meet after the Schuylerville, I think they've given her some time, some freshening to get ready for this spot, including some recent 5 furlong works, a nice string of them as she prepares to take another step forward in distance.
Jose Lascano aboard for Asmussen. The 5 is Becky's Joker. She pulled off a huge upset in the Grade 3 Schuylerville in her career debut for Drainer Carey Contessa. Now, they wheeled her back relatively quickly in the Adirondack, and as well as she ran in the Schuylerville, she didn't run well at all in the Adirondack, but it's too early to give up on her, and she'll likely be a price.
Yeah, and definitely too early to give up on her. I think originally their plan after the Schuylerville was to wait for the Spinaway, but looking at her work tab, she came out of that and trained so well. I think they decided to wheel her back in the Adirondack, and perhaps she bounced a little bit. Like favored Ways and Means, who we'll discuss in a moment, she's by Practical Joke, a very good 2-year-old sire, perhaps overshadowed a little bit because he's in that same sire class with his runners emerging the same year as Gun Runner and Arrogate, who of course have gotten their share of headlines respectively. But Practical Joke, very, very good with these young precocious horses, especially kind of at these middle distances.
Trainer Tom Amoss threw a lot at the 6, Alley's Beach, for her career debut, a race we're going to take a look at right now. 6.5 furlongs, not an easy distance for a first-time starter. Alley's Beach is in behind horses. She's forced to dive down to the rail, and some babies just don't like that tight spot, but Alley's Beach had no issue with it. She surges past the pace setter. She holds off a runner-up that would come back to graduate with a 74 buyer.
Yeah, a very professional debut from another one who's just been flattered by her previous competition. And she's from the first crop of Omaha Beach, a Grade 1 winner, both sprinting and routing. And he's going very well. Got his first stakes winner a couple of weeks ago with Ellis, debutante winner Hot Beach. And he's got 2 other stakes placed sprint fillies already, one on turf and one on dirt.
Dylan Davis aboard the 6, Alley's Beach. Here's the 7, Wonder Ride, debuting at 7/8 of a mile for trainer Kenny McPeak. So we know the distance isn't an issue for Wonder Ride. She's a daughter of Gun Runner, and we see she's in behind horses. She's got to find a seam. She does. She was, again, well prepared for this start. She gets it done, and the runner-up is a quality New York bred. Would come back to run second in the state bred, Seeking the Ante, with a 79 buyer.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think Ken McPeak had this filly fully cranked that day, and she still ran very well after recovering from a little bobble at the break. Gunrunner mentioned him a second ago. What else can you say about the phenomenal young sire he has become? And we have already seen a couple of his 2-year-olds from this crop perform impressively at this meet.
Julien Leperoux returns on the 7, Wonder Ride. All eyes on the 8, Ways and Means. Why? Take a look at this debut. She was bet down to 3-5. She coasted all the way around the track. She makes a wide bid, and Flavien Prat, as they say, is just a passenger.
Yeah, and you know, what else can you say about this debut, which put her in that handful of 2-year-olds to break the 90 buyer barrier already? Chad Brown was so confident in her that day. Against some well-bred fillies. He said after the race that his pre-race instructions included, hey, save something for next time. The danger would be if she bounces, of course, but the danger to the competition would be if she does have more in the tank.
Very active family, a half-sister to highly motivated, who was a graded stakes winner at Monmouth, Surge Capacity, who's coming into his own now as a graded stakes winner on the turf. Ways and Means faced nothing but first-time starters in that race. This is a tougher spot, but the way she won was exciting indeed. Brightwork has been very exciting. 3 for 3 in her career. She won the Grade 3 Adirondack, and she looked really good doing it, beating a couple of next out minor stakes winners. She stayed close to the pace, but she also has a very strong finish, and she draws off from this group.
Yeah, she's been finishing her race as well by being methodically brought along in distance by Johnny Ortiz, won her Keeneland debut at 4.5 furlongs, only beating eventual Royal Ascot winner Crimson Advocate, by the way, then the debutante at 6 furlongs and the Adirondack at 6.5. And I think her most impressive performance yet. I think she's well seasoned. And I like that this daughter of Outwork, a fast 2-year-old himself who could carry his speed, another precocious 2-year-old who really doesn't seem speed crazy. She seems to adjust to circumstances pretty well.
Completing the field is the 10, Lemorian, who made a pleasing debut at Horseshoe, Indianapolis in early August. She showed big speed from the start. She kept on going, and she earned a buyer's speed figure that puts her squarely in the mix with everyone just about, except for Ways and Means and Brightwork. A 75 buyer. I like her young sire, Coal Front, as sort of an under-the-radar speed stallion.
Yeah, absolutely. Colefront had an accomplished career where he showed kind of that miler type ability that is so valued, I think, in the American marketplace still. He's quietly had 7 winners to date from his first crop, including a multiple stakes place colt in Louisiana. So I'm with you. There's a lot to like about this young stallion, but I do have to point out that this filly is the only one of this group who doesn't have a race at Saratoga this summer and does join Sugar High as the only ones in this field who haven't yet raced beyond 5.5.
Let's take a look at our picks for the Grade 1 Spinaway. All eyes on Ways and Means. We're going to take a small shot against. And Brightwork, this is the most accomplished horse in the race. She's a perfect 3 for 3. She's handled everything thrown at her, and she might actually be a playable price on the tote because all the money's going to the Chad horse.
Well, that's what I was thinking a little bit, that here you have such an accomplished filly, a multiple stakes winner already, who's beaten some horses who have come on to perform well in stakes. And, an accomplished horse with the leading rider aboard who's going to give you value on the board, probably. I respect what Ways and Means did in her debut. I think it's easily, again, one of the most impressive performances of this meet, but she is in deeper waters here. And I do think the danger is she could bounce a little, whereas Brightwork has shown no tendency to do that as she just makes this steady progression.
Like you, I won't be surprised if Ways and Means just runs very well again and is too much for this field. I'll search for a little bit of a bigger price. Sugar High has a lot to prove because, as you mentioned, Nicole, she's stretching out to 7/8 for the first time, but she was really well prepared and ready for her debut. She took a lot of money, unlike most Bill Mott first-time starters. So I have a feeling Sugar High might improve a little bit at a decent price. 9872 for Nicole, 38910 for me. It's the Grade 1 Spinaway at the Spa on Sunday.